Good morning, everyone. After a great, quiet night of sleep, we're here at the Josquin Campground in the El Malpais National Conservation Area. We're in western New Mexico, roughly about 20 miles south of Grant, New Mexico, maybe about 15 miles south of the interstate. This is a free campground. It's got 11 sites, and I highly recommend it. Let's make some coffee and then we'll tell you a little bit about the plans of the day. All right, so today we got a busy schedule. The idea is to go explore an arch that apparently looks as good as the arches in Utah. Then after that, we're gonna go check out the El Malpais National Monument, which is adjacent to the National Conservation Area, and check out some lava fields. Then after that, we're going to go on a really long drive just to kind of explore some of the Native American reservations around here, and hopefully, get us some fry bread. After that, I think the idea is to make it to El Morro National Monument. I've never been to that one. And then we'll make our way down south and explore some small towns in western New Mexico. Towns like the Tecado, Magdalena, Pie Town. Hopefully, get a pie if things are open. And then and end the day looking for a campsite, hopefully somewhere around Magdalena, New Mexico. And Azul looks ready to get the show started. All right, guys, we made it to La Ventana Natural Arch. This is New Mexico's second largest natural arch. I believe the first one is somewhere south of Shiprock. I think it's called Snake Bridge. I haven't been to that one yet. Let me know in the comments if it's accessible, the Snake Bridge one. So this one is La Ventana Arch. It's along Highway 117 or NM 117. Not to be confused with FM 117, which is the River Road in Texas, in Big Bend. That's also a beautiful road, but this one is also as beautiful. So you have a parking area over there. You have vault toilets. You have shaded picnic tables, and a short trail that leads you here to the arch. You can have excellent views of the arch from the parking lot. Or you can walk the quarter mile to be where I am now and to look at the arch. Now, back in the day, you used to be able to go under the arch where you can see the sky on the other side, but you can't do that anymore. And I ran into a couple of gentlemen from the area who were telling me that back in the day, this was a place that was used for a rite of passage where they used to climb up from under the arch during mountain lion hunts. Also, they sometimes go there to get dead wood that they use for incense for funerals. All right, guys, we backtracked a little bit to see the sandstone bluffs, which give us a panoramic view of the lava fields. Guys, after a 20-minute drive, we made it to the Lava Falls Trail. This is a beautiful place to explore the geology of the area here in El Malpais National Monument. This is about a 60-minute hike, maybe 45 minutes. And the idea is to follow the currents that are set up along the lava falls. And you can see a lot of cracks, you can see lizards, and you can see a lot of vegetation. This is a really neat place. We're on NM 117 West, headed towards Tecado, New Mexico. And what a beautiful drive with the cinder cones on both sides of the road. This is an absolutely spectacular drive. This road definitely deserves a stop. So we stopped because I thought I saw deer, and I'm very or unpleasantly surprised by the vegetation, especially the wildflowers on the side of the road, and also to kind of admire these cinder cone mountains that you're looking at. So this is a volcanic area. You can tell just by looking at some of the mountains here that they can have that shape. Uh, and I'm still looking for the wildflowers. See, I can see some of them here. I think I'm looking at a lot of Indian paintbrush, but there are some yellow flowers as well. I did see what I thought was a deer, but I wasn't sure it was a deer. It looked more like a pronghorn earlier, a little bit below that mountain on the other side. Look at these flowers right here. Apparently, the wildflowers are a lot more visible if you come here late summer, early fall, after the monsoon rains, which is so strange, to think of monsoon in New Mexico or Arizona. But yeah, and you get flowers like these that I'm looking at right here. The interesting part about this road is you don't have a lot of traffic, so you can pull on the side of the road and take a picture. I mean, look at these flowers here. And I can see some on the hill right below the fence over here. So this is definitely a good stop to make. Well, guys, I think I see a pronghorn, so I had to make another stop. But it is definitely a pronghorn antelope. There it is. Yep, it looks like it's marking its territory here. So it's not too happy to see me, so I'm just gonna have to back off a little bit Yep, that is definitely a pronghorn. So this is super exciting to see on the side of the road here in NM 117. All right, guys, after a long drive, we made it to El Morro National Monument. We're at the campground, and believe it or not, this is a free campground. It's got about, I think, 9 sites. One of them is handicap accessible. You just have to self-register, so it's first come, first serve. And you cannot do any reservations online. You just register, and it's a free campsite. And I believe you can stay for 14 days. So I should have planned this one a little bit better because I really love this campground, and I definitely love this campsite because it's got a view of El Morro, which is the promontory point that you were just looking at. You get some nice vegetation, nice trees. Um, yeah, I should have planned this a little bit better. Now, a little history here. So that point you're seeing up there on the right or on the center of the screen is El Morro Point. Now, back in the day, the Zuni, the Navajo, and the Acoma called it Atsina, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's my understanding that it means place of writing on the wall, because they had some kind of petroglyphs there on the wall, so that's what it was called. And they had a little village on top of that. It looks like a mesa almost. So it has a spiritual significance. Even today, the Zuni, the Navajo, and Acoma, have ceremonies and are very attached to that place. You have two trails that you can take. You can take the Headlands Trail, which takes you up to the Atsina Pueblo up there, and you have the Inscription Loop Trail. Now, the Inscription Loop Trail has to do with Spanish inscriptions and some Anglo inscriptions that happened later. Now, obviously, when the first Spanish expeditions started happening and coming up here, when people passed by, they wrote down their names. So the first few expeditions in the 1500s will show some Spaniards writing their names, and they're like the first governor of the territory, for example. Then later on, after the Mexican-American War, the U.S. Army did do a lot of surveys around this area, so you will see some names of some military men from the U.S. Army on the rocks going up there as well. All right, guys, I think it's story time. All right, I'm gonna tell you a crazy story that has to do with this place that we're looking at. So this is the story of Estevanico the Moor. So this guy is probably of North African Berber origin, probably somewhere in the Atlas Mountains. But he ends up being sold into indentured servitude in the port of Azmmour, which is on the western coast of Morocco, around 1522. And then he ends up in the Americas. And in 1528, he comes with the Cabeza de Vaca expedition and ends up crashing after a hurricane on the coast of Galveston. And that's when the 8-year ordeal started. There were 4 survivors, and he was one of them. 3 Spaniards and him, the Moor. So they made it back to Mexico after 8 years on a 2,000-mile journey. And during the 8 years, they learned Native American languages, became healers, and Estevanico learned a lot of the Native American languages. So he was forced to return on a second expedition looking for the 7 cities of gold of Cibola. And a lot of books and writings say that he was killed around here, not far from Rama, so it's this area right here. But there's also a lot of books that say that he actually escaped with the Native Americans of this area to regain his freedom, because with the Spaniards, he was an indentured servant, and with the Native Americans, he was a free man. So to me, El Morro National Monument is an excellent name because El Morro means promontory point, like that mountain up there. But it also sounds like El Morro, like the Moor, which is Estevanico the Moor, who had a lot to do with the history of this area right here. So it's a pretty neat place to be because he is considered as the first African to set foot on the American West. I tell you what, let's go get that Zuni or Navajo fried bread. I've been wanting it since I saw it on the road earlier. All right, guys, we are approaching the town of Quemado, New Mexico. And I had to make this quick stop because I just noticed in this little gully there's a pronghorn antelope. And it just stopped and started looking at me, and now it's on the move. There it goes. Well, ladies and gents, behold the fastest land animal in North America and the second fastest animal in the world after the cheetah. So apparently these pronghorn can reach speeds up to 60 miles an hour. And on short bursts, they can actually reach 65 miles an hour. That's over 100 kilometers an hour. So that is crazy to think about. They can run that fast. And you can see them in many western states. I've seen them in Wyoming, I've seen them in Texas, and here in New Mexico. All right, guys, we're approaching the entrance to the NRIO Very Large Array here in New Mexico. So we're between Magdalena and Pie Town, sort of, somewhere in between. The interesting thing about this place is you have a lot of pronghorn grazing. Here's another one right here on the side of the road. So you have satellites, you have pronghorn, you have mountains in the distance. Well, look, it's growing. It doesn't look like it's in a hurry. Yeah, so this is a surreal place because you got all those big satellites. You got pronghorn running here on the prairie or on the desert floor. It's just a surreal place, to see all this at the same time. And the mountains in the background really add to the beauty of the place. And I have it all to myself. Now, the bad news is I think I'm getting here after the visitor center already closed. But the positive is I got this whole road to myself. So I think this calls for a couple of Kodak moments, don't you think? Yeah, so we're gonna take one, I think, with Azul and a satellite in the background, so that'll be cool. And we'll take one of the welcome committee here at the Very Large Array, and that's the pronghorn roaming the area. All right, guys, we're here on Water Canyon Road, and we're making our way up to Water Canyon Campground. So this is just a few miles west of Magdalena, New Mexico, and this campsite is supposed to be top tier. And it's tucked into the national forest, and it's supposed to be very quiet, and it's a free campsite. Wow, what a day, what a campground in the enchanting state of New Mexico.